It was November 1990 when a small movie about a forgotten kid opened in just 1,200 theaters. Nobody expected it to become the highest-grossing live-action comedy of all time. Here are 15 weird facts you didn't know about Home Alone. Fact 15. Written in 9 days. John Hughes wrote the entire Home Alone screenplay in just 9 days during the summer of 1989. The idea came to him while he was packing for a family vacation to Europe. Hughes told Time magazine he was making a list of everything he didn't want to forget. And then he thought about what would happen if he forgot his 10-year-old son at home. That single question became the foundation for the entire film. Hughes had already made a name for himself with The Breakfast Club and Ferris Bueller's Day Off, but Home Alone would become his most commercially successful project. The speed at which he wrote the script didn't diminish its quality. The story's mix of heart, humor, and holiday spirit resonated with audiences in a way that carefully polished scripts sometimes don't. Hughes had a remarkable ability to tap into universal childhood fears and fantasies. The idea of being left alone without parental supervision appealed to kids who wanted independence, while the threat of home invaders created genuine stakes. Hughes understood that children's entertainment worked best when it treated young audiences with respect rather than condescension. Fact 14. The director almost made Christmas Vacation instead. Chris Columbus was originally supposed to direct National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation in 1989, but a disastrous meeting with Chevy Chase changed everything. Columbus told Chicago Magazine that after working with Chase, he called John Hughes and said there was no way he could do the movie. Columbus said Chase treated him poorly during their time together. The experience left such a bad impression that Columbus walked away from what could have been a major studio project. Shortly after that conversation, Hughes sent Columbus 2 scripts, Home Alone and Reach the Rock. Columbus chose Home Alone because he found it funnier and appreciated the Christmas setting. It turned out to be the best decision of his career. Christmas Vacation went on to become a holiday classic with a different director, but Home Alone became a phenomenon that changed Columbus's life forever. The film established Columbus as a bankable director for family entertainment, which later led to him directing the first 2 Harry Potter films. Sometimes the projects we turn down end up being just as important as the ones we accept. Columbus's willingness to walk away from a bad situation opened the door to something much better. Fact 13. Over 200 kids auditioned. Even though John Hughes wrote the part of Kevin McCallister specifically for Macaulay Culkin after working with him on Uncle Buck, director Chris Columbus felt obligated to conduct a proper audition process. Columbus met with over 200 other children, either in person or through audition tapes. He wanted to make sure he was making the right choice and fulfilling his directorial responsibility. After seeing hundreds of kids read for the part, Columbus came to the same conclusion Hughes had predicted from the start. Culkin was perfect for the role. The young actor had a natural charisma and screen presence that none of the other children could match. His performance in Uncle Buck, particularly a scene where he interrogates a babysitter through a mail slot, convinced Hughes that Culkin could carry an entire film. That instinct proved correct when Home Alone turned Culkin into one of the biggest child stars in Hollywood history. The casting process demonstrated the difference between a competent child actor and a genuine star. Culkin had an ability to deliver comedy without seeming like he was trying too hard. He could play mischievous without being annoying and vulnerable without being sentimental. Those qualities made Kevin McCallister a character that audiences genuinely cared about rather than just laughed at. Fact 12. Macaulay Culkin made only $100,000. For his iconic role as Kevin McCallister, 10-year-old Macaulay Culkin was paid $100,000. While that sounds like a significant amount, it was a fraction of what the film would eventually earn. Home Alone went on to gross over $476 million worldwide and held the Guinness World Record for the highest-grossing live-action comedy for 27 years. When Home Alone 2, Lost in New York came around 2 years later, Culkin's salary jumped dramatically to $4.5 million. That represented a 4,400% pay increase and made him the highest paid child actor at the time. The sequel also included a 5% cut of the net profits and 15% of all merchandising sales, which meant Culkin continued earning money from products like the Talkboy toy recorder for years afterward. Fact 11. The iconic scream was improvised. One of the most memorable moments in Home Alone happened by accident. In the bathroom scene where Kevin puts on aftershave and screams, director Chris Columbus gave Macaulay Culkin specific instructions. Columbus told him to pat his face, move his hands away, and then scream, because that's what most people would do when something burns their skin. Culkin did the opposite. On the first take, he slapped the aftershave on his face and kept his hands glued to his cheeks while he screamed. Columbus told Entertainment Weekly that the moment reminded him of the Edvard Munch painting, The Scream. The image was so perfect that they kept it in the film. Columbus said they tried a few more takes with Culkin moving his hands away as originally directed, but editor Raja Gosnell put the improvised version in the first cut, and it stayed there forever. That split-second decision created one of cinema's most iconic images. The pose became so recognizable that it appeared on movie posters, home video covers, and countless pieces of merchandise. Decades later, people still recreate the image when they reference the film. The moment works because it captures pure childhood shock in a way that feels completely authentic. Culkin's instinct to do something unexpected turned a simple gag into a cultural touchstone. Fact 10. Joe Pesci avoided Macaulay Culkin on set. Joe Pesci wanted his performance as Harry to feel genuinely menacing, so he deliberately kept his distance from Macaulay Culkin between takes. Pesci avoided friendly interactions with the young actor because he wanted Culkin to be genuinely wary of him when the cameras rolled. The strategy worked. Culkin's reactions to Pesci feel authentic throughout the film because there was real tension between them on set. However, Pesci's commitment to the role went a bit too far during one rehearsal. In the scene where Harry hangs Kevin on a coat hook and threatens to bite his fingers off, Pesci accidentally bit Culkin for real during a rehearsal. The bite broke the skin and left a permanent scar that Culkin still has today. Despite the injury, everyone on set was impressed by how mature and professional Culkin remained. Pesci later told Entertainment Weekly that Culkin wasn't like a 9-year-old at all and described him as already being like an old man. Pesci's approach to the role reflected his background in more serious films. He had recently won an Academy Award for his terrifying performance in Goodfellas, and he brought that same intensity to Home Alone, even though it was a family comedy. The contrast between Pesci's method acting approach and the light-hearted material created a performance that was funny precisely because it felt so real and threatening. Fact 9. John Candy filmed his entire role in one day. John Candy's memorable appearance as Gus Polinski, the Polka King of the Midwest, was filmed in a single marathon session that lasted 23 hours. Candy was only available for one day of shooting, and he did the entire role as a favor to John Hughes. For his day's work, Candy was paid just $414. In return for the minimal payment, Hughes allowed Candy to be the only actor who could improvise and go off script. According to Columbus, everything Candy says in the film was made up on the spot. The funeral parlor story he tells Catherine O'Hara's character at 4:30 in the morning was completely improvised. Columbus said the cast and crew could barely keep straight faces while listening to Candy work. Despite the long hours and low pay, Candy created one of the film's most touching and memorable performances. His scenes with O'Hara give the movie its emotional heart. Candy had a gift for finding humanity in even the smallest roles. His character represents the kindness of strangers during the holidays, which balances out the violence and chaos of the burglary plot. The warmth Candy brought to his performance reminded audiences that Home Alone was ultimately about family and connection. Columbus later said there was certainly some resentment on Candy's part about the low payment, but the comedian never let that affect his work on set. Fact 8. Angels with Filthy Souls is not a real movie. The black and white gangster film that Kevin uses to scare away the pizza delivery man and later to terrify Marv was created specifically for Home Alone. The fake movie is called Angels with Filthy Souls, and it's a deliberate homage to the 1938 James Cagney film Angels with Dirty Faces. Director Chris Columbus told Entertainment Weekly that creating the fake movie was one of the most painstaking parts of production. The filmmakers had to find actors who looked like they belonged in the 1940s and recreate the specific sound and visual quality of movies from that era. Columbus said he was obsessed with old films, so he knew exactly what needed to be done to make it feel authentic. The movie within a movie was filmed early in the production schedule because it appears multiple times throughout Home Alone. A fake sequel called Angels with Even Filthier Souls appears in Home Alone 2, Lost in New York. The attention to detail in creating the fake film paid off because many viewers assumed it was a real movie from Hollywood's golden age. The scenes work perfectly within the story because they give Kevin a way to defend himself, using only his imagination and resourcefulness. The fake movie became such a beloved part of Home Alone that fans still quote its dialogue decades later. Fact 7. The tarantula scene used a real spider. When Marv has a tarantula placed on his face, that's not a special effect or a rubber prop. Actor Daniel Stern agreed to have a real tarantula crawl across his face for the scene. Stern initially asked the crew if they could remove the spider's stinger to make him feel safer, but the trainer explained that the spider would die if they did that. The production team assured Stern that he would be perfectly safe, and Stern was committed enough to the film that he agreed to do it. As it turned out, tarantulas can't hear, so Stern didn't need to hold back his screams of terror. Those reactions were completely genuine. Stern later told The Hollywood Reporter that he was fully committed to making every scene work and wanted to hit a home run in every moment. The tarantula scene is one of the most memorable gross-out moments in the film, and it only works because Stern was willing to push himself beyond his comfort zone. Fact 6. Buzz's girlfriend was actually a boy. The framed photograph that Kevin finds of Buzz's girlfriend is one of the film's biggest running gags. When Kevin looks at the picture and makes a face, audiences are supposed to laugh at the awkward photo. What most people don't know is that the person in the photograph isn't a girl at all. Director Chris Columbus made the decision early on that it would be too cruel to actually cast a young girl for the role and make fun of her appearance. Instead, the production used the son of the film's art director, Dan Webster. Webster's son volunteered to wear a wig and women's clothing and pose for the photograph. Actor Devin Rattray, who played Buzz, later told Yahoo that if Webster's son had known the film would become the highest-grossing family comedy of all time, he might have had second thoughts about volunteering. The boy's exaggerated facial expression is what makes the moment funny rather than mean-spirited. Fact 5. The house owners lived there during filming. The iconic McCallister home is a real house located at 671 Lincoln Avenue in Winnetka, Illinois. What makes the location even more remarkable is that the actual owners continued living in the house during the entire 5 months of filming. The family was mostly confined to the primary bedroom suite, while the production crew took over the rest of their home. Only a few interiors were actually filmed in the real house. The main staircase, the attic, and most of the first-floor landing appear in the finished film, but all the other interior spaces were duplicated on a soundstage. This allowed the crew more room for equipment and made it easier to control lighting and camera angles. The house has since become a popular tourist attraction, with Home Alone fans traveling from around the world to see the exterior in person. The current owners have largely kept the exterior appearance unchanged, so the house looks remarkably similar to how it appeared in 1990. Winnetka was already a popular filming location for John Hughes, who had shot several of his previous films in the Chicago suburb. The town's tree-lined streets and traditional architecture gave Hughes's movies a sense of timeless American suburbia. The McCallister house perfectly captured the upper-middle-class lifestyle that the film gently satirized while also celebrating. Fact 4. A real snowstorm saved production money. During the second day of filming, A genuine snowstorm hit the Chicago area. The production team quickly seized the opportunity and shot the final scene where Kevin is reunited with his family on Christmas morning. The natural snowfall created the perfect atmosphere for the emotional reunion. However, once the storm passed, the crew faced a new challenge. They needed to match that level of snow for the rest of the outdoor scenes. The solution was to bring in industrial snow machines and supplement the artificial snow with potato flakes. The potato flakes helped create the illusion of fresh falling snow and matched the texture of the real snowstorm. According to the Netflix documentary series, The Movies That Made Us, the combination of practical effects and lucky timing gave Home Alone its convincing winter wonderland appearance. The snowstorm was one of many fortunate accidents that helped make the film feel magical. Fact 3. Poland made it a national tradition. Home Alone has become such an important part of Polish Christmas celebrations that trying to take it away causes national outrage. The film first aired in Poland on Christmas Day in 1992, 2 years after its American release. It was one of the first Western films shown in Poland following the fall of communism, and it immediately captured the country's imagination. By the year 2000, over 8 million Poles were watching Home Alone on Christmas Eve. The film became known as Kevin Sam W. Domu, which translates to Kevin Alone in the House. In 2010, the Polish television channel Polsat decided not to include Home Alone in its Christmas programming. The decision triggered massive protests on social media. More than 90,000 people joined Facebook groups demanding that the channel bring Kevin back. An official petition gathered over 50,000 signatures. Faced with such overwhelming public pressure, Polsat reversed its decision and restored Home Alone to the schedule. The channel now promotes the annual broadcast with the tagline, "Christmas without him? It's absolutely impossible." In recent years, the film regularly attracts between 4 and 4.5 million viewers on Christmas Eve, which represents roughly 11% of Poland's entire population. Fact 2. The film created a new Hollywood term. Home Alone's unprecedented success at the box office changed the way Hollywood talked about other films. In his book, Who Killed Hollywood? And other essays, the late Oscar-winning screenwriter William Goldman revealed that the film's massive popularity contributed a new phrase to the industry's vocabulary. To be home alone meant that your film suffered at the box office because it couldn't compete with Home Alone's incredible run in theaters. The movie opened on November 16, 1990, in just 1,200 theaters and earned over $17 million in its opening weekend. It beat Rocky V to claim the #1 spot and then refused to let go. Home Alone held the top position at the box office for 12 consecutive weeks. That meant it was still the highest-grossing film in North America in early February of 1991. The film remained in the top 10 until June of the following year, a full 6-month theatrical run. Other studios found it nearly impossible to compete with a movie that had such strong word-of-mouth and repeat viewings. The term being home alone became shorthand for any film that got crushed by unexpected competition. The studio had been so uncertain about the film's prospects that they only gave it a modest opening in 1,200 theaters. When audiences responded enthusiastically, the studio kept adding more screens each weekend until it reached over 2,000 theaters right before Christmas. The gradual expansion allowed the film to build momentum organically rather than burning out after a massive opening weekend. Fact 1. Macaulay Culkin had a stunt double, who was 30. Some of the most dangerous stunts in Home Alone looked like they were performed by 8-year-old Macaulay Culkin, but they were actually done by a 30-year-old professional stunt performer named Larry Nicholas. Nicholas doubled for Culkin in scenes like the zip-line escape and the toboggan ride down the stairs. The veteran stuntman had already worked on numerous major films before Home Alone, and he went on to have an impressive career in action movies. His resume eventually included Jurassic Park, The Truman Show, and The Matrix Reloaded. Nicholas's small stature and youthful appearance allowed him to convincingly pass as a child on camera, which made him the perfect choice for doubling Culkin in the film's more dangerous sequences. The use of an experienced adult stunt double ensured that nobody got hurt, while still delivering the exciting action scenes that made Home Alone such a thrilling ride. Culkin performed many of his own stunts throughout the film, but the production never took unnecessary risks with the young actor's safety. If you enjoyed learning these weird facts about Home Alone, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more deep dives into your favorite classic films. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.